We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us talking about Metro Nashville, the property tax increase with Steve Glover, councilman at large, always outspoken on these types of issues. And Steve, listen, I wanted to get a couple of the comments on Facebook. Mike makes, I think, an interesting, proposal here anyway. He goes, a compromise is due. Taxpayers will agree to some level of an increase, but not this exorbitant proposal, or rather, it's not a proposal anymore, of course. 34% to fully fund everything without even an attempt to cut back, including raises, cut the budgets, impose a temporary 15% increase until the rainy day fund is back in place, something along those lines. I mean, a compromise sounds reasonable somehow, and it sounds to me like that was never really open to discussion with you.
It wasn't. I mean, they shut me down at every corner. They shut me down. They talked about why it wouldn't work. That's what makes me so disgusted with downtown, is because they always want to tell you why something won't work, as opposed to sitting down and saying, how do we make it work? Well, that's where we are now. How do we make it work? And so the taxpayers are speaking very loudly, very clearly, and I hear them. I can promise you I hear them. But I've been hearing them for quite a while now. They have said stop the excessive spending and start being adults and quit wasting my money. I don't know why government can't understand that when we spend the money, it's not the government's money, it's the people's money. And we need to be good stewards of that, and not just through our words, but through the action. And we haven't done that. In fact, we've done a pathetic job of that. And to sit down and to say that every time we have a crisis, we just got to raise more taxes. We've got to it's for the kids, it's for the police, it's for the fire. No, it's for the people of Nashville is what it's for. And so we have to do the right thing. And doing the right thing sometimes is hard, Nick, as you're well aware. But that's where we are. What I'm afraid of is because of the stubbornness from downtown and certain council members, we are in a true pickle now. We're in a bind. And I'm looking to try to figure out, how do we get through this? I promise you that I'm sleeping very little right now. I'm worried to death about this. Please don't think that I take this lightly, because I do not. I take this very seriously, but I also have been taking very seriously for quite some time now the attitude of the voters, the attitude of the taxpayers, and they have said now, and I'm hearing it loud and clear, enough is enough. It's time. The government has to do what you guys been making us do out here. That includes our employees that we've cheated raises out of. That includes the taxpayers of Nashville. That includes every citizen in Nashville. That includes the visitors that come and visit us, because we have ignored the infrastructure. We haven't fixed our roads. We haven't sat down and really come up with a comprehensive plan to deal with a number of very complex issues. Instead, what we do is keep doing what we've done. Well, if it's broken, guess what? You don't fix it with duct tape. You have to sit down, break it down, and rework it.
Steve, I'm going to take a line of calls here. If you can respond quickly to them, we'll try to get as many as we can in before the end of the show, all right? And we'll go next to Jimmy. Jimmy, good morning. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Good. Go ahead, sir. We got the councilman on there with you. What's your question or comment, Jimmy?
Well, I'm glad somebody's got some guts to stand up to this little Hitler mayor we got. The word on the street, as Larry Britton used to say, is he's trying to starve everybody out so his cronies can come in here and buy up all the real estate. So I just, it's unbelievable how much tax money that places bring in down there a month to the city, and he's got it shut down. It's just, and this tax increase is ridiculous. Those, the state comptroller probably be better taking over, because evidently those morons up there can't run things.
What do you think? And I think we know how Jimmy feels about this. This is good to hear from you, Jimmy. If it ends up in the hands, can you explain to folks real briefly, if for some reason it does end up in the comptroller, which means the state basically has the city in a conservatorship, what does that mean, Steve, in a nutshell?
It means the state does everything. They approve every penny that's spent. Nick, the one thing that I have warned us about, if you remember, I've been on the school board too. I was there when the state took over. What it simply means is the state runs everything. You give up your power. That's the way it works. That's the way the Constitution is set up. But we put ourselves in this predicament. Nobody's to blame except for the people downtown. Go look in the mirror. That's who's to blame.
All right. And yeah, we, again, don't want a conservatorship, though I think Jimmy wonders if it might be better. But that's something we want to avoid because it takes the power out of the hands of the council members and people like Steve Glover. Let's go next to Mary. Hi, Mary. Go ahead, Mary.
Yes. He needs to get rid of some of the councilmen. There's too many of them up there. They could save some money. I'm going to hang up and hear his comment.
Thank you. I mean, there are an awful lot of council members, and, another issue was brought up, Steve, and it's going to be talked about again, is the council. When you leave council, you get, that health insurance for life. I know you have to pay a portion of the premium the rest of your life, but you and your family, I think, can have it the rest. And some people say, wait, why is that even on the table anymore? And I know that was there long before you became a council member, but what about that and what she talks about?
Well, she's exactly right. We need to shrink the size of the council. That's one of the problems we have. On any given day, the executive branch can pick off 20, 21 votes. When you have 40 people to try and herd that group, it is a challenge. We need to shrink that size down drastically. We had a referendum we tried to do a few years ago. The people voted it down. Term limits, that's a bad thing. If we want term limits, that's fine, but go to 3 terms, because the mayor, literally what we've done is we've advocated the power to the executive branch. There are so many things that could be adjusted inside the metropolitan government that would make us stronger, but nobody wants to talk about that. Well, it's time. We have to start having these conversations. And the worst part about every aspect of this is it is the taxpayers. It is the people of Nashville who end up suffering on this because we've been selfish in the government.
One more call we'll try to squeeze in from Joe. Joe, good morning. Hi, Joe. Go ahead.
Right quick, I listened to Glover, and I agree with 99% of what he said. Anybody that's got any common sense knows that, you can put some of the blame on the mayor, but the council is a problem in Nashville, Tennessee. We're the 3rd largest council in the United States in a little bitty town like Nashville. But they wasted a lot of money, like he said. They're still wasting money. And I can name you 2 things right quick that they're still spending money on. It's just a total waste. One of them is the COB board. The chairman on its salary, I think, is $100,000 a year. So far, I haven't seen anything that they've done. Hadn't heard anything that they've done. The second thing is the emission testing. 2 years ago, the EPA checked Nashville and said that we was fined.
All right, so his point is, all right, the council and there's places to change. What's crazy, Steve, is, all of you are elected, including the mayor, and they're supposed to represent the interests of the public. These people were all elected. And the part of it is, and I know for a fact, there's no one on there that liked the idea of raising the taxes. Now, they may have disagreed with you and felt we needed to do it, but none of them liked the idea of raising taxes. Maybe you're going to tell me there's a couple that really, in their private moments, say, yes, more taxes. Find one for me that'll admit it. But, they're elected, and yet, this happens. How do you explain?
Well, you had me until you said find me one that will admit it. Yes, there are people on the council that don't have a problem raising taxes. That's their go-to answer. For me, that's the last thing I want to consider doing. But you know that. My colors have not changed over the years. I'm not a chameleon. I have said for multiple years now, we've got to quit doing what we're doing. It's not working. The council is too large. The health benefit, I'm not going to be hypocritical. I get it for life because I've already been, by the time, if I finish this one and I don't do anything more, I will have 16 years in with Metro. And so, but that's not the reason I ran. But Nick, that's $1 million there. Then there's millions here and there's millions. You start adding up all the things that we could have done away with that are frivolous, and all of a sudden you're talking about real savings. Again, we don't, the sad part is we don't look at problems and identify solutions. We look at problems, and the only solution we ever come up with is tax the people more so we can keep spending more. That is a bad way to do business. Business doesn't do that. Those of us, see, one of the problems we've got on the council, there's only a couple of us who are self-employed that actually make payrolls, that actually have to worry about people's households, that actually have to worry about making sure people have jobs. You know, we haven't focused on making sure our businesses in Nashville are healthy, you know, and doing all of those things. We haven't focused on our small business community. We haven't focused on the infrastructure. We haven't focused on what I call the priorities of life. And we haven't been a good local government because we think we have to be everything to all people. We need to get out of that business and go back to the necessities that people need in their lives daily and provide those and be really, really good at it.
One way or the other, the rubber's going to hit the road here moving forward with this referendum and everything else. And you've talked a lot about it, and we'll talk again, Steve. I want to thank you for coming on this morning.
Hey, Nick, may I make one quick announcement,
real quick, about 10 seconds.
I want to tell my daughter I love you. I'll be calling you in a minute. My 4th grandbaby's about to be born.
Congratulations, my friend. We appreciate it. That's great. Steve, take care. We'll talk to you again soon. We'll take a break. I'll wrap things up. Programming note right after this.